Hi, Sammy. Hi, Piper. Hi, Max. Today I'm going to read you a story again from the book called The Book of Giant Stories. And its title is The Giant Who Was Afraid of Butterflies. And I'm going to pretend that Piper is the mean witch. I'm going to pretend that Sammy, you can be the little guy that helps out the giant. And Max, you be the giant. So here we go. The Giant Who Was Afraid of Butterflies. There used to be a cranky witch, and her name was Piper. And she lived at the top of a hill in a cranky old house with 11 black cats and any number of spiders and bats. In the valley below, there lived a huge giant whose name was Max. And he would thunder around on his footsteps, and they would shake the ground. Now, Piper the witch, she did not like Max the giant very much because every time he went walking, the ground would shake so much that bats and spiders kept tumbling from her ceiling and plopped into her soup. Sometimes Piper the witch became so angry she would leap onto her broom and streak down over the valley to scold Max the giant. But the huge giant, that witch, didn't look any bigger than a pesky mosquito buzzing around his head. He really didn't pay much attention, and that made her angrier still. And here you can see Piper, the witch, flying around Max the giant's head because she's mad at him. Finally, the witch decided one day to cast an evil spell on Max the giant. Far into the night, Piper stirred her bubbling pot, and she added witchy things like poison ivy and pig's toes. She muttered and she cackled and she screeched until at last the spell was ready. And Piper rolled her eyes and she said these words: "Boil and bubble, witch's brew. I'll fix that giant when I'm through. When I've cast my evil spell tomorrow, he won't see so well. My spell will play tricks upon his eyes and make things look 2 times his size." Here's a great picture of the witch over her cauldron stirring up the brew. The next morning, Max the giant opened his eyes and he looked to see what sort of a day it was. The first thing Max saw was a squirrel scampering down a tree. Well, because of the witch named Piper and her evil spell, the squirrel looked 2 times bigger than Max the giant. With a frightened roar, he leaped backward and knocked down 3 trees. The bird landed on the grass near him to hunt for worms. To the bewitched giant, the bird looked twice his size also. This time, Max fell into a pond and he splashed all the water out of the pond. Everything the poor giant Max saw looked bigger than he was. A butterfly scared him silly. A dragonfly looked big enough to drag him off. When a fuzzy caterpillar crawled his way, Max the giant became so upset he ran to the far end of the valley. Look how big that caterpillar looked to him. That looks really big to Max the giant. Just then the cranky Piper the witch zoomed over his head, laughing. "How do you like my little magic spell?" she cried. "Now perhaps you'll behave yourself and stop stomping around, shaking the ground, and disturbing my supper." To Max the giant, Piper the witch looked huge as she zipped around his head. Shaking with fright, he ran out of his valley and around to the far side of the hill. Here's a picture of the witch, Piper, flying over Max the giant. Around the hill there was a small village. A small boy named Sam lived there too, and he came walking down the road. When the giant saw Sammy, he tripped over a farmer's barn and he smashed it flat as a dinner plate. Why? because he looked bigger than him. Sammy, to Max the Giant, looked so much bigger, and he crushed the barn when he sat down on it. "Don't hurt me!" cried Max the Giant. "You're so much bigger than I am." "That's silly," said the boy, Sammy. "I'm only Sam, a little boy. You're a great big giant." "I know," the giant sighed, "but Piper the witch up on the hill, she put a spell on me, and now everything I see looks bigger than I am. I'm afraid of birds, worms, squirrels, and butterflies and caterpillars, too. Even little guys like you. I don't know what I'm going to do." Sammy sat down beside the giant, and he helped him think. After a while, Sam had a great idea. "Maybe you need glasses," he told the giant. "If you wore glasses, you could see things the way they're really supposed to be, Max. Why don't you just come to the village with me and we'll ask the eye doctor to help you?" The idea made the giant very happy. But as Max and Sammy walked along the road, a bumblebee frightened Max, and he accidentally kicked over a windmill. There's the bee looking so big, the giant looking so afraid, and the windmill is getting crushed. A cow scared Max the giant so badly that he accidentally squashed a henhouse, and a puppy frightened him into knocking down several clotheslines full of clothes. "I think you might want to wait right here," said Sam. "I'll bring the glasses to you." "All right," said the giant, "but please hurry." And he sat down beside the road and he waited for Sam. Soon Sam returned carrying a huge pair of glasses. "I hope they fit," he said. "They were the biggest ones I could get." The giant placed the glasses on his nose and he peeked through them. The boy looked tiny, the way a little boy should look to a giant. Birds no longer looked bigger, trees no longer looked bigger, and the giant smiled a giant smile. "You're a good friend, Sammy. Now let's take a little walk up that hill." The giant carried Sammy with him up to the witch's creaky old house. She was not at all happy to see them coming. "Shoo! Go away! Leave me alone!" said Piper. But the giant wasn't afraid of Piper any more. He picked Piper up. Sammy on top of the giant's walking stick, the giant wearing glasses, and there's Piper the witch. He picked up the witch's broom and he snapped it between his fingers like a matchstick. With a growl, he chased away all 11 cats, and then he let loose all the bats and spiders. Finally, he snatched up Piper herself. "Are you ready to behave yourself, witch?" he rumbled. "Oh, all right, you win. Just put me down and I'll remove your spell." And she did. After that, the giant and Sammy often took long walks together, up and down the valley. The giant's thundering footsteps still made the ground shake, and Piper the cranky witch still sat in her creaky old house on the hill, and she would mutter about it. But when a bat plopped onto her soup, she just helped it out of the soup. Never again did she try putting a spell on the little boy's friend, the giant named Max. And there they are walking off together on one of their hikes, and this is the witch's house. I hope you liked the story. Have a great day.